Hi guys, it's Rachel. So I'm here to respond to the tag Good Old Decks. It's a community tag by Tabula Mundi, and I think it was posted like a couple of months ago. I've been meaning to respond to this for ages, but as most of you probably know, I was really sick. And then I just got tied up with a lot of things, and I didn't really know how to approach the tag, as often happens with me. There's a lot of different angles from which you can approach it. So yeah, I'm feeling a lot better now, and here I am. So I actually ended up with 10 decks. I didn't do that on purpose, but Good Old Decks is a tag where you share decks that maybe had a moment and aren't really as popular anymore, or maybe something that you personally used and loved and you realize you haven't used it in a minute. They can be older decks. So anyway, I went with 10 decks that I've personally used and loved, and for whatever reason, they just haven't made the circulation in a while. And some of them are older. None of them are very old, really, except for maybe a couple, but none of them are new. So, yeah, let's just try and get right into it. So the first one is the Smith-Waite Tarot, like the Centennial borderless edition. I think this was the first Rider-Waite deck that I owned because it took me a minute to warm up to the artwork. And I really loved this deck when I first got it. And yeah, it comes with some of Pixie's artwork, which is really nice. So I have the borderless edition. I kind of want the bordered edition too. I have the mini in the tin, which has the borders, and working with that kind of makes me want to get it with the borders. But at the time I thought, yes, this is the quintessential version of the Rider-Waite Smith deck that I need in my collection. And I don't really need to say much about it. I mean, everyone knows that the backs are lovely. It's like this nice, subdued sort of coloring. It's meant to make it look older, in keeping with the times in which it was originally printed in the early 1910s. And it's a really wonderful deck and beloved by many, but for whatever reason, I think it's honestly been years since I've used this. So I'm not sure exactly why that is, but yeah, I have not used this deck. I'll never get rid of it. Love that Five of Cups. But that's the borderless Centennial edition. And then, in keeping with that, we have this guy. This one is called the Original Tarot. So it's another Rider-Waite Smith. And I was like obsessed with this for a little while. And I remembered I even liked the guidebook. It says compiled by Brian Wenger. I don't know. Yeah, the Rider-Waite Smith is a deck that I don't know why I don't use more often, because it actually reads very well for me. Very clear, very, you know, I can get the messages like that. Now this one is like a linen kind of plasticky deck, and these are the backs. And I think this was making the rounds for a minute, a few years ago, or maybe more than a few years ago. And I can't remember how I stumbled upon it. But I think there were a couple of different versions of this by the publisher is Japaridze. It says Siren Imports. And there's another version that is even more like garishly colored, if you want to call it that. But this was my first Rider-Waite with the ugly colors, you know, like the plaid backs, the yellow box. At the time when I got this, I didn't even have a yellow box. So I just really loved this for a little while. I loved how it felt in my hands. You know, it just felt like I couldn't hurt the deck, and I was really having fun with the vibrancy of the colors. These really like stark, harsh grays and bright blues, I was having a moment with. And I can't remember the last time I used it. It might be because, as you're probably aware, the Albano weight is my Rider weight. Like, that's my deck. That's my guy. Usually sits on my nightstand. And I don't know, I just really vibe with the Albano. This is fun though. So yeah, that is, it's just called the Original Tarot. Siren Imports. So let's see, what do we have next? The Japaridze Tarot, or that's how I pronounce it anyway. Yeah, this was honestly one of my earlier decks. Like, for a really long time, for years, I only owned like 3 decks. Comes with this guidebook. Not too much information in here, but it is a beautiful little book. So the artist is Nino Japaridze, and the text is by Steve Lucas. What's interesting about this deck is it was created by an artist. Well, most decks are, but Nino Japaridze, she didn't really have much knowledge of the tarot, if any, maybe just some peripheral knowledge on it. These are the beautiful backs. Reminds me of stained glass, like Art Nouveau stained glass or something. But anyway, I know that there's been talk recently about a lot of deck creators not really knowing tarot and just trying to make money. And I mean, yeah, I get some of that, but this is different because this was actually, oh, I love this King of Wands. This is one of my favorite King of Wands. Anyway, sorry. This was commissioned by the author of the guidebook, whatever his name is, Steve something. He really admired her artwork, and if I'm remembering this story right, anyway, because it's been a few years since I've read it, but he's like, I want you to make a tarot deck. I love any deck that has a volcano in it. So I find it very interesting where she went with this. There were a few cards that I wasn't sure about when I was kind of researching the deck to see if I wanted to buy it. At the time, I really didn't invest in cards very much. I was very careful with what I spent my money on. And I didn't have a lot of disposable cash. Look at that. That reminds me of Bjork, right? Like something she would wear. I love it. Like the clowns. A lot of people struggle with clowns. I wasn't sure on some of the court cards. And the moon card was upsetting to me. But I remembered saying, you know, I'm just going to get the deck and I'm going to let the artist speak for herself, and maybe it will resonate with me, you know, or give me a new angle on my understanding of the tarot. And I'm really glad that I got it. And I went through a spell of not wanting to look at this deck. It was probably due to circumstances that I was going through. But look at the sun card with the bat. This is one of my favorite sun cards. Yeah, this is an art deck. Yeah, there's that moon card I was talking about, and I really hated it at first, but now it's one of my favorites. It's so provocative. I don't know. I think this might have been the first one that she painted. It's like a mixed media deck. It's collage and all sorts of things. And this Tower card, I know I've said this before, but there's something about this that just makes me think of Stravinsky's music. But yeah, this deck had a minute. Like, it was really popular for a little while. I think at the time that I got it, not many people were talking about it, but shortly after it was, you know, discovered by a lot of people, and I know there's mixed feelings on it. I love bats. I love bats. Like this War card for the Emperor. Yeah. This High Priestess, this Magician. This is so wild. Like, you can really journey with this deck, with some of these cards, you know? This was one of the stalker cards in this deck. And I think that's one of the reasons I stopped using it for a little while, is I kept getting the same cards. And I was just like, I'm sick of this. Like, sometimes that happens. Sometimes, like, my readings, my personal readings, I get stuck on court cards and I get really sick of seeing them. So, but then I was going through even more difficult times than I was before, and I brought that deck out, and you know what? It really spoke to me, unlike any of my other decks at the time. Hang on one second. I want to light some incense. Yeah, it's really hot here. I hope you can hear me. I'm trying to speak loudly because I have my air conditioning on. It's September 27th, I think, here in New England, and yeah, it's hot. Like, it's starting to cool down a little bit, but I was trying to work in my journals earlier, and like I had to keep stopping because my hands are all clammy, and they're a little clammy now. So, okay, anyway. Here's another one, the Mystical Dream Tarot, Life Guidance from the Depths of Our Unconscious by Janet Pidelato. I don't know how to say their name. I'm so sorry. This is a deck that I don't really see much. But I was so intrigued by it and the concept. It's in one of these boxes, you know, can be a little annoying to bring out, so give me a moment. But yeah, the Mystical Dream Tarot, this is supposed to evoke images that you would see in your dreams, like symbolism that you get from dreams. These are the backs. They're kind of like metallic, like, and yeah, this deck is very unique. It's a minimal color palette, you know, lots of these like slatey kind of blues and these purples, dark forest greens, these yellows that tend to glow. And this deck is really wild. And I haven't used it in a while because I think it was scaring me a bit. Admittedly, I think it was like 2020, and I mean, 2020 was rough for so many people, but I don't know. I think maybe I got it after Mark had lost most of his vision and was declared legally blind, so maybe that's why sometimes with certain decks, and I go through life changes, sometimes looking at the decks I was working with at the time, just, I don't know, it just makes it hard to pick back up again. And other decks aren't affected by the times. This one was, I believe. But it's really intense. It's really intense. I mean, that is very, very much like something that you would see in a dream. I even went through a spell thinking maybe I would part with it because my collection had grown so much, and it's really become very problematic for me to find space for my decks and my books. Look at this sun card. That is gorgeous. But no, I don't think I'm ever going to get rid of it. Hopefully it will make the circulation again. Look at this Judgment card. Wow. There's so many interesting ways to work with this deck, I'm sure. But it's very deep, and I don't think it's like a mundane reader. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but look at Six of Wands. So much to unpack there. Like, I should really read the guidebook on that. Two of Wands, Two of Pentacles. Look at that. It's really wild. I love that. Okay. Yeah. Very intense. And yeah, working with it really brought up a lot of memories from my past, from my childhood, or maybe the way that I perceived things. The things that scared me, the things that gave me anxiety, and they don't really bother me anymore. It was sort of like I was revisiting all of that with that deck. All right, so what do we have next? The Cosmic Tarot by Norbert Loesch. Now, this one, I haven't seen this for a minute on YouTube. This is a very, very popular deck. This is an older deck. I believe it's from the 80s. Here's the amazing backs. And I think, if I remember right, it's very, like, Thoth-based. There's the gorgeous High Priestess. I just really love this art style. To me, it's like a blend of 1980s and 1930s, you know. A lot of the people in here, especially with the court cards, they make me think of like old Hollywood. Well, that makes me think a bit of Crowley, maybe. But it's a really beautiful deck, and I haven't worked with it for quite some time. Yeah, like silent movie actor, but he's got like this 80s hair going on. So much fun. Wow. I love this Five of Cups. There's like this storm, this windstorm going on in the doorway. I don't know why so many of the cards are upside down. I don't really read reversals, so like that looks like Sean Connery. It's pretty tense. It's on the darker side. Look at that. That's so cool. I mean, it's a typical sort of Rider-Waite image for the Five of Pentacles, but I really love the color and the darkness of it, and it looks like these people went through a war. She looks a little bit like Greta Garbo to me. Yeah, I haven't seen this deck in a while. I love that Two of Swords. This Three of Swords is really interesting. Beautiful star card. She also looks like Garbo to me, right? Love Greta Garbo. Love that moon card. All right, we're going to move on. So that's the Cosmic Tarot. The Parrot Tarot by Margaret Parrot. with the guidance of Tom Parrot. And this deck, yeah, I had a minute with this, but it's been like, I don't know, like probably 5 years since I picked it up, and I don't know why, but I think it's just because I just have too many decks. Not that I'm going to stop buying them, but like these are the backs. And this is definitely like a Thothy deck. And I love all the correspondences at the bottom. And the other cool thing about it that I don't think I've seen in any other deck is I believe it's with the majors, there's musical correspondences. Like how much fun is that? Some of the imagery is very, very Thoth, like on the clone level, you know? The art is very weird, very quirky, very colorful, very fun, like this Justice. But yeah, see, there's the musical correspondent there, down at the bottom. Four of Wands, the Sun, yeah, very Thoth. Yeah, very, very Thoth, love it. It's just so much fun. And when I bought it, it was really, really cheap. I think it was like $9. They were selling on eBay, like someone had several copies of them very cheaply. I don't know the availability status of it now. And I'd never really seen it on YouTube. And then eventually there were a couple of people I remember were showing the deck, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the Parrot Tarot. I'm glad it's gaining some recognition. I love this Seven of Cups. I just love the Seven of Cups. I mean, image-wise, the Seven of Cups in Thoth is just one of my favorites. I just think it's really pretty. And I've been getting that card a bit more frequently lately, so yeah, I might want to do some investigation on that. But anyway, this is definitely one of the funkiest decks out there. Like I said, I don't know if it's available anymore. Such a colorful tower card. But yeah, the Parrot Tarot. Now, you all know this. This is the Tabula Mundi by M.M. Moline. It's one of my favorite decks. I have all of her decks. But I can't remember when I last used this. And it's really weird. I can't offer any explanation for that. These are the Deacon cards. This is the first edition that I owned. I have a couple of different editions of this. And I also have the mid-sized version in black and white. And the other version I have is like the silver foil edition. You get this around, you know, the borders of every card. But I love this deck. And I haven't explored the guidebook either. Probably because I have too many books to read. I read her book of Sachet, but I know there's so much to unpack with the Tabula Mundi, and I know she's got like Led Zeppelin quotes in there and stuff. It's just a very, very cool deck. And she's an expert on the Golden Dawn color scale. Like, look at this Queen of Wands. I don't know why I haven't used this in a little while. For a time, all of the readings that I was doing with this deck, and any Thoth deck for that matter, were very cruel to me. And I don't mind the truth at all, but they were sort of cruel in a way in which I could not understand. I couldn't understand why I kept getting repeatedly like the Seven of Swords from this deck constantly, like, and it was bugging me. And I think that's one of the reasons maybe I put it away. I have a larger edition of this card that was sent to me, maybe because I had spent a certain amount of money, but I put it in a frame. I love it. Beautiful star card. Look at this Seven of Cups. It's just amazing. I hope the lighting's okay. I think it's a little dark, but and these court cards in this deck are awesome. Like, I think that the pages sort of mirror the aces, and it's just, wow. Look at that Queen of Discs and this Death card. Yeah, I don't know why. I love everything that she writes and produces. So I really, look at this Ten of Swords. It's so cool. I really need to start working with this again. Look at this. Look at this Page of Cups. Gorgeous. Like, so many of the cards in this deck are like the most beautiful I've ever seen. Like, look at this Queen of Cups. The Magician. The Magician is in the house. That's what the meaning behind this card is, which is just so cheeky and fun. Because yeah, I think the Hebrew word for magician means house. So Beth, right? Like, so anyway. And this Five of Discs. Yeah. That is such a perfect explanation, like a perfect visual explanation of what the Five of Discs does to your mind. And oh, look at this Ace of Cups. So anyway, yeah, I need to work with this again. I've had this for years. And I said I had like 3 or maybe even 4 editions of it, because I think I also have a mini. But, and I have her latest deck too. Haven't really started working with that much. Oh, and if I did I not show the backs? I mean, look, have you seen anything wilder? They're so cool. Tabula Mundi by M.M. Lean. Just a few more. All right. Navigators Tarot of the Mystic Sea. You guys probably know I really love this deck, but I haven't used it in a little while. We have 3 copies of this deck in my house. I ordered one time because I was worried that this one wasn't going to arrive, because it had been like a month. And at the time, again, it was a deck that was like $10. And so I ordered another one because it was cheap enough. And then the other copy showed up, and I was going to give it away. And my daughter was looking at this, and she's like, no, I really like that. I want it. And I'm like, okay. And she was actually like taking intense notes on it based on what she saw in the cards. It was really interesting. I think she was writing notes on the Page of Wands. This is just one of the coolest decks. Again, it, for me, brings to mind some of the music of Stravinsky. It's very like 70s, 60s, 70s sci-fi to me. It's a vision. I've always said I kind of wish there was a larger edition of this, because there's so much going on. Like, there is so much going on. Like, see, I think she's like menstruating there. Like, discrimination is the key word for the Lovers. It's so interesting. Conclusion for the Chariot. Ascendancy for Six of Swords. I love these funky colored people, like the pinks and the blues. Oh, I just love it. It's really one of my favorites. Anyway, I wish there was a larger edition of it, but I don't mind that this is the size that it is. It's very easy to work with. But yeah, I have a backup of this as well, so I'm glad, because actually I don't know how available this is anymore. Look at this Eight of Cups. Wow. So yeah, it's one of my most used decks, but it's been a while since I've used it. A volcano! So you guys know I'm going to love it. Oh, I love it. And there's something about it, as weird as it is, it's very cozy to me. I don't think it would have been as a younger person. I think this deck might have given me anxiety as a younger person, because a lot of things did. I was afraid of too many things as a young person. But anyway, that's one of my all-time favorites, and haven't used it in a minute. This one here, I don't know how to say this. I believe this is a Polish deck. The tarot, I don't know how to say it. I'm going to call it Tarot Drogi. I really don't know. So my apologies. But I had seen this years and years ago somewhere on YouTube. And it was back in the day before like I was even really subscribed to anybody. So I thought that I had dreamt the images that I saw in this deck, because they were so powerful and resonated with me so much that I just thought maybe I dreamt it, because this deck is another one that is like something out of a dream to me. Look at these backs. They're so cool. It's like, it looks sort of like rock. Maybe it is. Like maybe it's a zoomed in version of some sort of rock. But anyhow, it's just illuminated. Like, it makes me think of my childhood and some of the nightmares that I had. So don't ask me why, given that fact. It's a comfort deck for me, a cozy deck for me. I guess I'm complicated, but you know, our duality is what makes us human and interesting. So, and I know I'm not alone in that. Like, I'm not trying to say like, oh, I'm so weird, guys. Like, look at that 5 of Cups. But yeah, I thought that maybe I just dreamt about it, because I was trying to find it, and I couldn't. I didn't have anything to go on. And then eventually, maybe like a couple of years ago, someone featured this on their channel. I think it might have been Polish Folk Witch, actually. And I was like, oh my gosh, that deck does exist. So I bought it. However, the first time I tried to buy it, I didn't realize, because I was so excited even to find a copy, that I bought a majors only edition. And then luckily I was able to find, I think on eBay, the full deck. But I have heard from other people who were trying to find the deck that it is hard to find. So I really don't know how available this is, but so I haven't used this. I haven't used this in a little while, and I don't know why. But like I said, I think it's just that's what happens when you have a sizable collection. You know, you get more decks, and other ones get pushed to the back of the shelf. And yeah, but this is one of my favorites. I wish I could say that I've worked with it more than I have. This would be a good fall winter deck for sure. Okay, it's just amazing. I mean, I can see why it wouldn't be for everybody, but I love it. So I think it's just one more. And it's the Elemental Tarot. Now, this is the older edition of the deck. I have a couple copies of this because I loved it so much. I wanted a backup. Now, this is from 1988. I think that there is a newer printing of it. However, the borders are completely different. This is the edition with these large scarab backs. I think that they are perfect. So, with the majors in this deck, she took lines from the ancient poem Thunder Perfect Mind, which I just love. Love this tower card, love any tower card really. Let's see. Hear me, learn from my word, you who know me. I am the union and the dissolution. Amazing. So I haven't used this it's probably been like a year. It had a moment for me, and then I was inspired by different things. I am the one who cries out, and I listen. I am the knowledge of my name. Oh my God, that's the Judgment card, keyword forgiveness. So it's a very deep deck, but it's also very fun. And I've said this before, but I really love this, like, I don't know, like this late 80s deco revival, you know, that you see from that time. I just love it. I really have to start working with it again. It was a deck that I had been aware of for some time, and I think it was Giselle's fault. You know, Mad Witch, she was showing it in one of her videos, and I was like, oh yeah, that deck, I need that. I had forgotten about that, and it pushed me over the edge. So yeah, I mean, this is out of print, but like I said, I know there is a more recent printing of it. I don't know if that's in print currently, but take a look at it first, because the imagery here is the same. I think it's the same. I haven't really taken a good hard look at it, but like this double border and everything and the different colors is completely changed. So you may or may not be disappointed. I personally like this better. I love the deck so much, I've considered maybe buying the later edition just because, but I don't have it, so I can't tell you much about it. But I know I've seen it out there. I think actually Nova Mundi was showing it, I think. Really, really wild. So cool. So I think I'm going to wrap this up. Again, this was the Good Old Decks tag, and it was a lot of fun. I'm glad I finally got around to it. And if you're still watching, thanks for being here. Well, see you soon. Bye.